So, first of all, a warm welcome from hot Stockholm today for yet another PTC Talks, where we are excited today by having Christopher Frisell and Henrik Byström from AI Lab for a super hot topic on leading or being led by AI. What do managers actually need to learn and take responsibility for? But first, just a quick introduction about myself. My name is Torbjörn Peterson. I'm the Alliance Manager for PTC in the Nordics, and we are running all these webinars on Fridays every week at the same time. We invite customers and partners for some inspiration on digital transformation to see what is possible and how to make things happen. And all the past webinars have also been recorded and are to be found on the registration site. The agenda for today is first a quick overview of PTC by my colleague Carl from the customer success team, and then Christopher and Henrik will run the show by introducing themselves, touch base on a few challenges, how to address these, and then explain some of the business outcomes. And at the end, we are having a Q&A session, so please keep your questions to the end. We may also put them in the chat and we will pick them up later. So now over to you, Carl.
Thank you, Tobbe. So PTC is an international software company with headquarters based in Boston. We're developing software mainly for manufacturing companies since 1985. We offer tools for digital transformation, such as CAD for design, PLM for managing data, IoT to connect products on our manufacturing operations, and augmented reality to visualize and interact with the digital thread. To you, Christopher.
Thank you so much, Carl, and great to meet you all. Let me introduce to you the AI Lab with our promise to the market, business value through responsible AI. The challenge today for us is to give you an introduction to AI and also explain why this tagline makes sense in only 20 minutes. And in order to do that, we'll jump to the next slide and introduce you to a little bit of a state of mind. This is my personal favorite expression to say we're from the future and we want you guys to join us on this journey. And is it really possible to say that you're from the future? Well, sometimes on this subject, yes, you can. Our experiences tells us that there are a lot of guessing, there are a lot of uncertainties, there are a lot of optimistics around AI as a subject. And with the next slide, we, just like we heard in the introduction, have this topic for today, leading or being led by AI. We mean that there's a really, really important phase in our work-life journey now as managers to really learn about AI and also for the future take responsibility for future services. We will touch upon an upcoming AI law called the AI Act today, which put everyone's interest as citizens, but also from organizational standpoints with a huge responsibility in terms of AI services. So me personally, Christopher, I have a background at Microsoft, 18 years, and also 10 years as an entrepreneur. And this is my latest baby together with Henrik, who also quit Microsoft after almost 15 years, heading the responsibility of Microsoft 365. And our third partner, who's not joining us today, is he's a lawyer. And he also the former lawyer and compliance lead for Microsoft in Western Europe. Henrik, would you take us further on the journey?
Absolutely, I will. And I will start by expressing why this is so important, by leading or being led by AI. So a few years ago, as Christopher said, I was actually in another epicenter called what we today call the hybrid work. I was interviewing a researcher at the University of Gothenburg who said that people has an extremely adoption of possibility. So we will adopt into this new world that is post-pandemic. And they did. And that made me think about what leaders need to do then in times of these big changes that we are in, and as AI is at the moment, we need to take lead of this transformation instead of things happening anyway. So that is the purpose of this conversation today. So, but let's start from the beginning. So we have talked about AI since, maybe the 50s, when the first computers came and we were starting to talk about what AI could actually be and so forth. And then there was quite a slow progress, and we even talked about AI winters. We have now exited the second AI winter, and in early 2000 we had an AI engine that actually won against the world champion in chess, and that was a big breakthrough, right? So, and then something happened actually quite rapidly and exponentially. We had new companies like Tubi who works with eye recognition and so forth. We had the big launch of the cloud services and so forth. And this is actually the cause of why we are where we are today. The cloud services gives us the opportunity to work with all these massive data amounts and data storage, and also have massive compute power that is needed for AI to accelerate. And in 2016, OpenAI was created, and we also saw the an AI engine actually win against the master in Go. And then everything has accelerated in a massive pace. And we recently saw Microsoft announcing the Copilot services that are being launched in the Microsoft 365 services for every one of us, and also into GitHub and also into Dynamics and so forth and so forth. And we have seen several of these services from Facebook, Meta, and Google, etc., etc. So there is an accelerated pace now. But what is it that is new, actually? So I like to look upon it in the way of that when the web browser came, as we see in the slide here, or the first Netscape Navigator browser version 1.0, when we saw that web browser, that was sort of a face to the internet for us, and we had the opportunity to actually realize the big potential of internet. Before that, we have heard about the internet being something, but we could actually not touch on it, we could not understand, we could not process what it was. When ChatGPT was launched in last autumn, for us, everyone, we could actually then realize what is AI, and that was another window to AI, like the web browser was to the internet. So that was the big transformation and the eye opener for all of us. But AI has actually developed for quite some time now. So looking into what AI is, as Christopher says, there is a lot of thoughts and assumptions and guesstimates and etc. on what AI actually is. Like it is some kind of magic substance that you can actually powder over something, and then you get the fantastic solution out of it. So let me help you to break down what AI actually might be or could be. First of all, it starts with machine learning. We have massive data amounts that we can actually set the machine learning engine to go through that and learn about what the data is all about. We can see trends and patterns and so forth, and also learn so we can get information out of it as insights. And some of this could be that we can see, for example, a deviation analysis. So we could identify something in a picture, we could see identify fraud detection in text, for example, or whatever it could be, some kind of deviation to a pattern that we have seen before. And another way of using AI is actually computer vision. Some people might use your computer vision when you log into your computer, or you might have identifying images like in healthcare or whatever it could be. We can identify people or whatever by using computer vision in real life, like Tubi does, or actually use to get insights from an image in some way. Natural language process is another AI form where we can actually write text and get that translated, or we can actually communicate by vocal and get it into text, or in other ways using the natural language processing. We can actually use services in our own languages and get that to another, formulated into another language or so forth. And that leads us into another way of AI, that is conversational AI, that many of us use already in chat engines, for example, where we can chat with the customer service or whatever it is, and get insights back from an AI engine, not only from some kind of structured database that we have seen before, but actually based on machine learning. And we combine all of these services, we actually get these generative AI engines that we have seen explode now in ChatGPT or DALL-E, etc., where we can actually use all these combined services to generate new data. So we can, for example, get ChatGPT to help us formulate the text, or we can get DALL-E to generate an image based on something, and we can have these services into conversational AI, etc. So there are AI in many shapes, and we need to understand that there is not one AI engine or a magic substance, but it is a combination of a lot of different services. So the state of AI today, we actually came back just recently, just this night, from a big meeting in Almedalen, the biggest meeting in the world between politicians and public sector and commercial sector and so forth, with great conversation. And it's very clear that AI is a topic of today. And we had a discussion there in the panel about what the potentials are for the society. And there is an immense potential, a really great value potential. Like in Sweden only, we talk about potentials of maybe 14 billion kroners or euros. So there is a fantastic potential here, actually. But there is also regulations to come. And you might have seen the discussions about the concerns about AI and how AI is evolving and how we can regulate AI for the concerns that we have. And in terms of businesses, we can see that ChatGPT and DALL-E opened our eyes to this great potential. Now, many organizations look into how can we apply AI and what should we do, but there is also maybe a concern about missing the train or fear of missing out here and so forth. So people are now discussing on how should we apply this and so forth. And there are maybe two different ways in the strategies where we meet leaders where they discuss. Either they think they go big right away and make a strategy and try to make this as an integrated part of everything in their organization, or they take it stepwise and take small steps by doing different labs or pilots and so forth. And you can say that any of these are right or wrong, but it might be easier for some organizations to start stepwise, and other might be important to have a strategy, or you can have a combination of these, of course. Last part to bring up is about the leadership. How should we act as leaders in relation to this? So AI is not about a technology. It's not about something that you can put the IT department or the CIO to be responsible for the AI development, or have an AI department in somewhere. This is actually something that it concerns the whole organization. So you as a leader need to understand that you are the manager of actually setting this into your culture and doing the culture transformation here. And there are a bit of different things to think about here. This is about how you use AI in your leadership, how you draw insights from AI to actually accelerate your leadership, but also how to get employees to use AI to get better work-life balance and be able to achieve more or so forth, and get insights from AI when they do their work. But there is another dimension to this leadership as well. That is about the operational acceleration. That is how you integrate AI into your business. Maybe you are the marketing director, and how do you work with AI then? Maybe you work with product development. How do you integrate AI into your products? Maybe you work with customer care. How do you integrate AI into that operations? And so forth. So from your operational responsibility, how to leverage value into your customers or citizens or your responsibility. And talking about responsibility, when it comes to the governance of the responsibility that lies on us, that is up to us as leaders or bosses actually to take care of this, to make sure that we apply AI in a responsible way, that we follow the law that is coming, and we will talk about a little later, that we follow the ethics and the values that we have in our corporate organization, so we can act truly and faithful into how to use AI. And that is our responsibility. So it's about leadership and transformation. It's about the operational acceleration, and it's about responsibility that you as a leader need to take into consideration. And let me take some example of cases of AI that we meet from the AI lab. For example, in the gaming industry. The gaming industry is actually using AI to encourage betting. So they want us to put bets. For example, your favorite team is playing, so maybe you should bet here and so forth. But they are also discouraging betting to have a detection of maybe higher increases in from a certain individual that is betting more than they should, and they can help identify these concerns and limit then maybe the levels of money that you can spend on betting. So there is both ways here in the gaming industry, and that correlates very well into the AI ethics as well. In banking, they have worked with AI for quite some time in fraud detection, for example, but also in terms of working with customer interaction. So when we have an interaction with a bank, they can get information about us and get insights from the data that they have about us as a customer, and they can give us a better conversation and relationship building when they work with us as a client. In retail, for example, the obvious is, of course, cross-selling, like when you see you're clicking something and they're saying that others are interested in, like Netflix for retail industry. That is the obvious, of course, but there are also ways of working with customer coaching. Maybe you come into the website and you're not really sure if you can find where you can find and if they have what you're looking for. So maybe you want to have a conversation with someone helping out and say, hey, I'm looking for these Adidas shoes in this specific size and color and model, do you have that? And then you can get the coaching, or maybe you should look into these as well because they're a new model now that is more developed, etc. So you can get the coaching from an AI that you can get from a real sales rep in a store. In healthcare, one of the obvious is, of course, X-ray image recognition, and there's actually a quite interesting story about this. So I heard in another meeting that the fault levels of an AI when it comes to identifying cancer tumors in breast cancer with X-rays is actually 7.5%. That is quite low. But if you look into how the doctors do, they do it in 3.5%. So then you can actually question, why should we even have AI if doctors are better than the AI? That is because the combination of the doctor plus AI is actually in a 0.5% tolerance, error tolerance. So we get a very accelerated value in this case. And then, of course, you have the diagnosis support. So maybe you're are feeling sick in some way, and you can get into a site and get insights so when you meet the doctor, you had started the diagnosis already, so the doctor can actually spend less time and be more specific and precise when helping you out to getting better. We work also with facilities. And that is about, for example, getting the people experience. Today, facilities are very, very connected, as you, of course, know. PTC works with this with this a lot. We are connecting elevators and energy and water and utilities and whatever, a lot of things, ventilations and stuff. So we have a lot of sensors in the facilities. If we can take those insights and apply AI to that, and maybe connect that into also the productivity use that we use every day, then we can combine, so get a better physical experience for us people based on the digital opportunities that lays in that layer. But it's also about sustainability. We can actually save more than 30% of the carbon oxide that the facility is creating based on using the data and digitalization and AI, applied AI. And then I wanted to bring up another dimension that is not in these vertical, but also sort of going cross. And that is about engagement, people engagement and employee engagement. Because what we can see with these new tools that come, we can actually increase productivity very, very much. We can get insights on how we spend times in meeting, and we can find information, we can get help in creating new information, etc., etc. but it can also help us to get this sustainable work life, helping us to get focused time, prepare for meeting, have the opportunities to actually spend our time more wisely, so we can get a more sustainable work life. So these are just a few examples of the cases that we see today, and as you see also, AI is everywhere and will affect everything in the future to come. And the learning that we have drawn is that those people who start their journey are actually more prepared when the next event happens. We could see that in the pandemic, well, that people that had already started to apply cloud services and hybrid work, they had a lot smoother journey to work when the pandemic hit. And we hope that we're not, of course, get a new pandemic here, but what we can say is that if you start with your journey now, applying AI, you will be more prepared in leveraging that in the future to come. So with that, I would like to hand over to you again, Christopher, to take us through the responsible part.
Thank you so much. With -1 minute, because we promised to give 10 minutes for questions. So feel free to start throwing them in the chat now. And as you think about what questions you might have, I'll just shortly introduce you to the new AI Act coming in to the market. So EU has decided to put the first regulation on AI as an enforcement coming out late this year. If you look at laws on a holistic view, or how different parts of the world is dealing with data, in Europe you have European Union regulating GDPR, and also now in the future AI. In China, you would have the government taking information from the people and giving it to the governments. And in US, you would actually take data from people and give to the companies. So it's really 3 different views of this. But I'll tell you something, for those of you that are concerned about AI, this is one way to actually feel more safe, that within the European Union, there will be more of a safeguard in terms of how we deal with AI. So what is the purpose of having this law, and when is it coming? But first of all, it's really about making sure that AI systems are safe, transparent, traceable, and non-discriminatory, and environmentally friendly. But it also comes in a risk level-based regulation. So you would actually have to think about your services in different levels, where there are unacceptable risks. And one thing, and an example here, is to actually have face recognition cameras on the streets, which they have in parts of the world. Where high risk could be, for example, recruitment services, which needs to be regulated. And then there are limited risks. And then there are also a very low and minimal risk AIs that don't need, which is in the next line. You need to assess your services before you put them on the market. Timing-wise, they had a big negotiation on June 14th, and now this law is out in each of the European countries for decision, and they aim to activate the law by the end of this year. We will come back to that, and with that, let's move to the second last slide to summarize what we have talked about. And also give you time for those questions. So we see great value potential with AI. I think we all can agree to that. We need to know about this regulation coming, but it's also time to start now. And remember that this is not a tech project. This is about leadership, and it's about the culture within your organization. And what we would like to offer you guys on this call as a next gathering is another PTC invite coming in September, October, where we'll extend what we talked about today and also add new aspects of AI, for example, ethical AI and also our interactions with robotics. And our very greatest tip for you guys to consider is to maybe invite us to do that with you or do it yourself. But make sure you learn more about AI. Have AI knowledge talks internally. Arrange those calls, but not with the leadership teams and only with the board, but with all members of your organization. And then we encourage you, hopefully with our help and support, to organize hackathons. Where you bring people in. What can we do? How can we improve processes? How can we improve products? How can we improve security? How can we avoid stuff? And how can we become a better and more effective organization with AI? And then you vote, and then you start engaging more in those ideas that you really like. So we're from the future, and join us on that journey. Now, questions.
Thanks a lot, Christopher and Henrik, for sharing all these interesting findings. Fantastic overview, I must say. And as I said, let's go to the questions. I can see that we have already a few questions in the chat. So just picking one here. What about the confidentiality? How could corporations leverage technology like ChatGPT and still, keep their information confidential?
Very good question. So the open ChatGPT is just like Google or using internet. Whatever information you put up there as part of your question, that will also become open for other organizations to search for and ask for. So be very careful if you ask ChatGPT about your 5-year strategy and then you provide that strategy outline to ChatGPT, but asking it to make it as a better text for you. Don't do that, but don't put lockers on not using it. So what you do here, you bring the GPT engine into your environment and let that only search on your data. That's sort of the quick answer to that. So be very careful, but don't stop using it.
To work on it in a sandbox environment.
Yeah, right. Thanks a lot. We have another question here. Who will own the results in case when a model has been improved based on your data?
Exactly. So just again, whatever you provide to the open ChatGPT, it will be part of that service. So this is why you need to really when you start engaging with AI with your organizations, make sure you deal with your own data in a secured environment. So it's not your data anymore.
Yeah, and you can still use the OpenAI services, but integrated into, for example, Azure OpenAI. So that will be your sandboxed environment, and you will not distribute your information externally.
Good, thanks. Had another question here also. What could you elaborate a little bit about? What do you think? Is the adoption rate of AI used in the manufacturing industry? Have they already started? Have they already started to come? Somewhere in the process, or what's your impression so far?
I would say that many companies. It depends of also larger enterprises or smaller companies and so forth. That is of course a difference there. But I think that most companies actually look into this in some way, and the large enterprises, in many ways, they might have started already with different small projects. But I would say that actually the journey hasn't started yet. I usually say that people are afraid of that the train has left the platform, but the train hasn't actually entered the platform yet. So don't be afraid here to miss this out, because you can start your journey now. But many have started, yes.
There is hope.
And I would also add to this that AI will come from 2 dimensions. One from your internal organization and power and innovation power, but it will also come from all your current suppliers. Microsoft 365 has hundreds of AI services. The same with Google, and the same with a lot of other services that you probably already are purchasing or subscribe to. So you kind of need to know that those 2 dimensions and of course see if there are opportunities for your to see if you can empower some of your internal processes by help of the external already developed services that will save you money as well.
And also recall that you have a different ways. You have your own HR processes, you have the marketing processes, you have the product processes, the sales, etc., etc. So maybe it's not broadly adopted yet, but people have started in somewhere.
Thanks. Could you share some of your, impressions and takeaways? From coming from Almedalen, yesterday. What were the, big bets? Big discussions going on there.
So we had this same topic. We were in a booth with a management organization called chef.se, manager.se, and we invited a lot of different companies to be on stage with us to share their AI experiences. And not very surprising, none of them actually just one at the end, but very few accepted the fact to be on stage and talking about AI. So that's just like Henrik is saying, they haven't started yet. So don't be afraid, you haven't missed the train. And they realize and they think AI is a technical topic, but it's not. So we will try and continue, with our enthusiasm, hopefully to share that across, which goes for you guys as well in this call.
Yeah, thanks. I have one last question here, and I guess that you get this kind of question quite often. But what about the jobs? Will AI, replace us at the end, or what's your impression about that?
Are we talking about bus drivers or chefs or gardeners or whatever?
Bring it on.
In some cases not, but when you combine AI with your human intelligence, that's when you really get the best power out of it. So and you should think about this as effectivize your processes and work on getting better profits out of your products and services, as opposed to lay off people. I don't see that risk, although it will appear, of course, in some circumstances.
And in none of the reports that we read, or actually the leaders we meet, that is the topic to make layoffs. That is rather to see how can we get the people to achieve more through this, rather than making cost reductions and so forth.
So start converting, talking about skilling and converting skills to spend more time with AI. That it's rather that, and good luck if you find somebody that is a true AI professional today. They are pretty rare from a technical standpoint, I'd say. Yeah.
Yes. So well, time is actually unfortunately running out quicker than expected, as always. So many thanks everyone for joining, and of course a special thanks to you, Henrik and Christopher, for sharing all those kind of inspiring findings on AI. And now we are actually having a summer break with the PTC Talks, but we will be back again on the 1st of September with a session about sustainable battery production, challenges and opportunities by Professor Björn Johansson at the Chalmers University. So stay tuned for that. So with that, I wish you a fantastic summer, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sorry for running late.